Canuck.
Hello and welcome to the stream. My name is Liz and this is where treasure hunters hang out every Thursday evening. We have a great show for you today. We have a guest, Tinman Magnet Fishing. I'm going to bring him on a little bit later on, but if you enjoy treasure hunting and you like meeting new personalities and hanging out with some really cool peeps in the chat, then please consider subscribing to my channel and hit the notification bell and tell YouTube that you want to be advised whenever I go live or upload a video. Yes, sirree. Oh my goodness. Before I say hello to everybody in the chat, just want to give you a little... The lighting here is a little more subdued tonight because I'm going to share this with you all. Oh my gosh. I was just, not kidding, I was just diagnosed with a facial rash caused by wearing a COVID mask for 3 years. It is actually a thing that doctors are diagnosing all over the world. I had a 3-ply cotton COVID mask, and I gotta say, nobody told us that we had to wash it every now and then. So needless to say, 3 years later, I have a terrible rash on my face, and it's in the shape of my COVID mask. I'm on medication right now, and it's making my face very shiny. So not only did I have to subdue all the lights in here because it would have been reflecting like crazy, but I have a ton of powdered the nose and everything else to subdue the light. But yeah, seriously. 3 years of wearing a COVID mask and I have a COVID rash. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Oh my goodness. I'm going to say hello to each and every one of you. But like I said, I just wanted you to know that, yes, the lighting is a little more subdued here today because I didn't want to beacon from the Great White North. All right. I am going to say hello to each and every one of you because it's the least I can do is say hello to you because I do appreciate everyone that drops by. And wow, as we were starting, there's some people in the chat who are new to the stream. And I really do appreciate that. And I hope that perhaps sometime during the stream or maybe after, you find just a little bit of value and entertainment and you will consider subscribing to my channel. And just want to say hello to all the lurkers out there too. Lurkers are wonderful people. So right on. All right. I have gone up to the very top of the screen, and the first person in the chat today was JP Lawns and more. Thank you so very much for joining. Right on. The Bad Idea Lab also in the house today. Thank you for popping in. Speaking of popping, Pop's Magnet Fishing is also here. Wonderful. He did receive my stickers and he put out a lovely mail call video. So thank you for that. Right on. Our guest, the Tin Man, is in the house. He's in the green room. Like I said, I will bring him into the stream as soon as I finish saying hello to you. So right on. Steve Shepard. Right on, front and center. Right on. Great to have you here. Back-breaking metal detecting. Yeah, right on. It is. Metal detecting can be back-breaking, can also be knee-breaking. But we do what we have to do in order to metal detect. And right on. Mona, that is my number 1.25 fan. Mona, thank you for joining. I really appreciate that. Right on. Holy smokes, ladies and gentlemen. My goodness. Mermaid Treasure Hunter in the chat. She's on an airplane right now on her way home. Holy smokes. Didn't know that you could use cell phones up on the airplane. So right on. Good stuff. Oh my goodness. She will be a guest on a live stream in the near future. So there you go. Straight up metal detecting. That is Mr. Tripwire is in the house. So right on, right on. Great to have you here. Who else is here? Frank and or Tyler. I bet you it's Frank. Looter8. Right on, right on. I was on his live stream or watching his live stream yesterday. Good stuff. Tripwire is now lurking. That's okay. Lurking is cool, as I said. Metal Detecting Brooklyn. That is Richard. Richard is in the house. Wonderful to have you here, Richard. David Carlisle here. Right on, right on. The Piney Man also in the house. Wonderful to have you here. The Coin Channel says, I made it. Wonderful. Great to have you here. Mike, great finds. My goodness. If you ever wondered what finding Civil War stuff is like, you got to check out Mike Great Finds. He's an amazing detectorist and he finds some really, really cool Civil War stuff. And every now and then, he hunts with Aquachigger. So how cool is that, too? For the price of one. Let's see. Oh, my goodness. What just happened there? Something happened. Oh, my goodness. Wow. My chat just went little bananas. I might be missing somebody. Flash Ed. Flash in your pan in the house. He just celebrated, I think, 6 years of his live stream. 6 years. Happy anniversary to you. Right on, right on. Chris says hello from Texas. Wonderful. Texas. My goodness. Randy Ferguson says, good day, mates. That may not, or may, I'm not sure, be the proper accent. Jimmy Cloak says, hello from Nova Scotia. They also have accents in Nova Scotia. They do. Timeless Digger, Gary, right on, right on. I am actually going to be posting, I know it's been quite some time, but I'm going to be posting a long form video tomorrow, Friday, and Gary's in it. So there you go. Once again, 2 for the price of 1. How good is that? That's a theme tonight. Right on, right on. Bad Idea Lab, back in the house. Right on. Oh my goodness. Oh, my screen keeps freaking out. I am going to, wow. Seriously, my screen is like, my chat is going nuts. Mike Great Fine says the forest fire smoke is back again in Pennsylvania. Yeah, it was, I didn't smell anything today, but I think a couple days ago, you could really smell it. It's like perpetual. If you've never smelled the fires from Canada, from Ontario, and from Quebec, it smells like you're sitting at a campfire all day long. And like you can even see the smoke. It's absolutely crazy. No smoke, no smell today. So that's a good thing. Right on, right on. The Coin Channel said, happy early Canada Day. And 4th of July, holiday weekend coming up. My goodness, my goodness. All right. I am going to go on a limb and say that I have said hello to each and every one of you. If I have forgotten, missed you in the chat, and that is entirely possible, not intentional, then please put an @DiggingCanuck in your comment. It's going to highlight on my side. I'm going to see it. And then I'm going to say, holy smokes, Liz, you need to say hello to that person. So right on, right on. Ed says that the wind has shifted directions and it's heading back home. Lovely. Wonderful. All right. Let me put this over here. All right. Yes, I've said everything I have to say, so it's time to bring the guest on. Let me switch screens. Here we go. And let us show Willie, Tinman.
Hello.
How are you, Willie?
Good.
Wonderful. Great. Absolutely great to have you here. I just want to say that you are the very, very first magnet fishing guest that I've had on the show. And wow, that's wonderful. That is a wonderful thing. Now, we're going to talk about magnets, but just before we start talking about magnets, like maybe a couple sentences for people who don't know you. Just let us know who you are, what it is that you do. Just a couple sentences, nothing really personal.
All right. I am William. I am the Tinman magnet fisher. The name is synonymous with Kansas, where I live, in South Hutchinson, Kansas, out in the middle of nowhere. So I decided to take up magnet fishing a couple years back from an individual that actually did a series of videos that is within my scope of operation, I guess you could say.
Right on. And the rest is history.
Yes, it is.
Right on. Now, just so the name Tinman magnet fishing, how did that come about?
That is an interesting question. Are you familiar with Ohio River history? Shane?
Yes.
He is the one who gave me my channel name.
Ah.
And the banner that you see above my name was actually given to me by Ed himself, Flash in Your Pan.
Get out of here, really?
I sent him a few photos of a certain couple of objects, and the rest is history.
Wow, Mr. Ed, Flash in Your Pan, very creative, I must say. And here I was thinking that Tinman just had to do because, like, that's the kind of stuff that you find.
No, it's just synonymous with the Oz movie.
Ah, okay. Now, so how long have you been magnet fishing for?
I want to say I started in early 2019.
Ah.
So it would have been, I received my first magnet via Amazon in January of 2020, 2019, somewhere around there. It's getting kind of hard to remember that, and this is way before I ever had a YouTube channel. 5 years now, 4 years now.
Was magnet fishing, were you one of the, I guess, the first people in your area to take up magnet fishing? Because it really, it must have just exploded, but it wasn't really popular back then, I don't think.
It's still not popular here. I'm still the only individual who has a YouTube channel within my hometown.
Really?
Yeah, that is nothing but dedicated to magnet fishing. I do a few other videos for museums and a few oddities that is in my state, but there's only one other individual that I know that actually takes magnet fishing seriously. I know one other individual who's just started, but he's more of a Facebook individual than he is a YouTuber.
So how is it then that you actually, like, did you watch some videos and see somebody doing it, or how does a person become interested in magnet fishing other than seeing somebody doing it?
Well, the way I found it was quite the strange occurrence. I started looking up what these powerful magnets were called neodymium, and lo and behold, it was some individual testing large size cylindrical magnets. Didn't have any shackle, didn't have any protection on it. And what was really strange is the next video I came up with on the YouTube suggestions was magnet fishing. Now, I started watching the UK individuals, Patriot Magnets, Nigel from Northern's Magnet,
Mm.
didn't go anywhere else other than probably the local ponds and everything. He actually found a few things at a small lake that is 2 towns over from me,
Mhm.
and I've since then cleaned the entire lake out by myself. So
Hmm.
that's
Okay.
kind of how I got my start on
Mm-hmm.
everything.
Mm-hmm. Now you can't be a magnet fisher person without magnets. So could we start with maybe you, for those of us that aren't familiar with it, or
All right.
there what, like, different kinds of magnets for
Yes.
different kinds of situations?
Originally, early on when magnet fishing started, you only had 2 types. You had a cylindrical, single-sided magnet,
Mm-hmm.
and then you had a double.
Okay.
But then the UKers had access to another type of magnet that is called a clamp, and that is a cylindrical magnet stuck within a giant clamp. Now, I do have a series of magnets with me,
Mm-hmm.
and these are actually the largest ones that I can personally get a hold of. So
Mm-hmm.
take these into context that these are more of expert level magnets,
Okay.
not beginner.
Okay.
I do have a lot of the other magnets, but a lot of those are still drying out from the last time I went out.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
I will start off with the single-sided. People
Absolutely.
use this a lot for maybe 6-7 years already,
Mm-hmm.
and beginners still use these. I still use it every once in a while, but I have with me every single type of Kratos magnet there is. I'm known in the community for having way too much gear and not enough common sense, pretty much. This is actually the same magnet that is in my banner. If I can move my camera here momentarily, give me a little bit. This is the Kratos 3000 flat magnet. As you can see, it is a single-sided magnet used for perfect example
Wow.
is docks. Now, if you are a beginner,
It's huge.
yeah, if you're a
Jeez.
beginner to this series of magnets and stuff, you want to stay away from this because this magnet is nothing more than a backbreaker. It is 16 pounds. This makes the dock buster from Brute Magnetics, well, looks like a really small magnet.
Wow, that's insane. That thing's bigger than my head. Holy. Wow.
Yeah, and it's not actually cheap.
Wow.
That's like a $300 magnet.
So that magnet you would drop off of a dock, is that correct?
Yes. a
Okay.
dock.
So you're not throwing that out anywhere.
No.
Okay.
Now, I will move up to the other style of magnet that came about. It is what is known as a double side. It's a little rusty from last time, but this is a double-sided magnet. You actually have 2 plates inside a neodymium housing, nickel, copper, nickel, if I remember correctly. One side is magnetic, and then the other side is magnetic. This is the
Wow.
Kratos Olympus. This is a 4,600-pound pull magnet,
Wow.
and it's not exactly light either. And the other form of brute magnet, again, was a 3,600-pound pull. A lot of
Wow.
people used, I want to say, 1,200 to 3,600-pound pull, but
Wow.
using this all day is kind of a
Are you
backbreaker as
are
well.
you throwing that into, like, are you trying to throw that far away and drag that magnet?
Yeah, I actually use it as a
Wow.
rope.
Wow.
All of these magnets are produced by one gentleman. He is Ben from Kratos Magnetics.
Some beach detecting wants to know, how heavy of an object can you pull in with that magnet that you have in your hand right now?
This one, its theoretical pull is 4,600 pounds. That's double sides. So you have to
Wow.
half the total combined weight into a theoretical. In optimal conditions, it's 4,600, but you're
Wow.
going to run into rusty material all the time.
Wow. I gotta imagine that after throwing that thing out in the water after a few throws, that your arm is like tired.
Yeah, it is. Plastic camera. Okay. Now, those two magnets were used probably close to a decade, maybe, depending on how soon people were recording on YouTube for that,
Mm,
anything like that.
mhm.
But now, these other two, or this next magnet is actually kind of a UK only magnet. It first began over there, and then the individual I buy my magnets from decided to bring those types of magnets over to the US, because
Ah.
in the US magnet fishing game, we were seriously lacking on magnetic potential, as I call it,
Mm-hmm.
because the UKers had the clamp and then they also had the 360. I
Mm.
believe it was online magnets that started using clamps, but that was 2 3 years ago. And then the beginning of a whole new type of revolution with magnets in
Mm-hmm.
magnet fishing
Mm-hmm.
is the 360. But this next one is the clamp. And again, this is the largest one that I could actually get a hold of.
I can only imagine how big it is.
This is the Kraken. This is Kratos Magnetic's largest clamp magnet. As you can see, it's a cylindrical magnet stuck within a clamp locked into place with a bolt. Then you have your carabiner as well.
Holy, what would you do with that one? Is that a throwing magnet and retrieving magnet as well?
Yes, it is.
Wow. Ah, okay. Okay.
This is a little bit more on the large side, but clamp magnets work pretty well. It is somewhat 360, but it's mainly a cylindrical magnet stuck within a shackle, and
Okay.
it can pull quite a bit. I actually found a come along at the event that I will be explaining
Uh-huh.
later.
Uh-huh.
So most of the time, people run 65-foot rope or 100-foot rope. Depends on how far down if you're on a bridge.
Ah, okay.
Now, for the final and pretty much the necessity for any magnet fisher, they come in several different sizes. There are four or five different ones, and I actually lost my largest of this type of magnet at the event off the bridge. So
Oh.
I'm down a $300
Wow.
360 magnet.
Wow.
If I'm getting it correctly, it's like a $212 one. But this is the main type of magnet that everyone from Ben's community, I guess you could say,
Mm-hmm.
use. This is the Titan. It's actually a 2.0 variant. The cover is not aluminum. That was the first gen variant that he had. I did have mine up until a certain video I created, and then I lost my original. But this is a stainless steel, and this is the go-to magnet for any, I want to say, mid-tier magnet fisher, unless you want to go directly to the highest there is. But a lot of people use this magnet and this magnet only when it comes to 360s. That is a 360-degree
Right.
magnet,
Yes.
top, side, middle. And its theoretical pull is 3,800.
See, I'm thinking I could probably throw that one. I could probably throw that one. None of the others that you shown, but I think I can throw that one.
Well, if you go to 𝗗𝗘𝗚𝗓𝗏𝗍𝒻agnetics.com, you can actually view the different products that 𝗵𝗏𝗍𝒐 has.
Ah.
This one is the third tier, and then the Poseidon is the highest tier, which is actually a 4850 pound pole magnet, and that's actually a little bit more powerful than the online magnets 4000 that a few of the UK magnet fishers was using during
Mm-hmm.
the Beloit event.
Mm-hmm.
But there are smaller magnets. One that it's pretty funny. It's called the Helios. It's only 1.1, 1.4 pounds. It's just really, really small. You
Mm-hmm.
think that it wouldn't pick up much? That actually is the perfect magnet for kayak magnet fishing.
Ah. Mm-hmm. There's a
That
quote.
and a
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
smaller grade rope.
Mm-hmm.
If you're curious about kayak magnet fishing, you couldn't go wrong with that type of magnet.
Huh.
Not trying to make this sound like a promotional video, but
No, I appreciate your knowledge and opinion on the matter, and I'm sure everyone else does. And there's actually a question here asking for some advice from some beach detecting. He says that if you were to want to pull a conglomerate, say a mix of things like iron mixed with some old coins, not being the strongest guy in the world, what would you suggest for minimum pulling pounds?
probably it all depends on how strong you are. I would say in the range of 1,000-pound pull to 1,500-pound pull, if that's a singular magnet you're wanting to use. Shop around. There's a great many of different stores that provide certain magnets, but I've used 4 different companies before. I've used Brute. I've used uh, Magnetar. I've used online magnets, and I've also had a Rogue magnet as well.
Mm-hmm.
They're fairly good
Mm-hmm.
for what they have,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people like that, but it's all preference.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking for something light, anywhere between 800 and 1,000 for beginning, 1,000 to 1,500 is probably your best bet.
Mm-hmm.
And it also depends on if you're wanting to have a single-sided magnet, a double-sided magnet, or a 360.
Mm-hmm.
Most people will probably go 360.
Now that Helios magnet that you were talking about, it kind of seems like it would be perfect for me. That's a Kratos magnet as well?
That is a Kratos magnet. I've got 16 magnets, minus one lost. I gave a fellow magnet fisher at the event my original Helios, and he's back to magnet fishing as well. That would be Brockton magnet fishing.
Okay. So magnets, they can be pretty expensive.
Yes, they can.
Okay. But not required. It's not essential though.
No.
Okay.
As long as you have what you want and it doesn't break the bank. Pretty much.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's fair. So apart from your magnet, which you wonderfully explained, and I do appreciate that, what other equipment is required along with the magnet?
Okay. Your average 5-gallon bucket. Gloves. Depends on what type. These are a little bit of a cheap glove. What I prefer to do is double glove. I use rubber gloves and then I put these over those so I actually don't get my hands all nasty.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, if you want thicker gloves so you don't literally get sliced by any and all sharp objects. That's one thing that most people need to remember. When you're magnet fishing, make sure you're up to date on your tetanus shot and make sure you have thick enough gloves that whatever object you're pulling out will not stab or slice you.
So it can be dangerous.
Yes,
You
and also,
it would require your attention.
also with that 360 magnet, a lot of people, if they're not watching themselves, there have been people that have broken fingers via that magnet.
That would be me
Yeah,
probably.
a ice scraper, if you prefer such things. Some
Ah,
people use plastic putty knives.
okay, yes. That's to clean the magnet?
Yeah, to get a lot of rusty debris off. You'll
Okay.
run into rust all the
Mm-hmm.
time,
Mm-hmm.
and from what that is still attached to that magnet.
Ah, okay. Mm-hmm.
Then you'll also need a claw. Depends on what type of claw. This is a collapsible claw that has 3 prongs, grappling hook. The
Wow.
serrated notches are a real game changer, especially for finding certain objects. There are countless channels that use a grappling hook like this. UKers actually go a step further. They'll custom make their own. Uh, Sometimes you'll see one person in a video that has a homemade grappling hook, or they pay someone to make it out of. They'll cut 3 different crowbars together, then weld them,
Mm.
and then they'll put an eyelet through it, and then you have what I considered like a monster
So
grappling
that
hook.
that grappling bar, is that like after you've found something to give you like extra pulling power on whatever it was that you found?
Yeah, if you can't get a hold of it with the magnet,
Ah,
sometimes you'll
okay.
throw the claw in and then
Okay.
you'll snag it. But some people that are more adventurous, they'll stick the magnet next to the grappling hook, and whatever the magnet can't pick up, the grappling hook will. But
Ah.
use these with caution because you will get them snagged.
Mm.
And if you get it snagged, there's a good chance that you won't get it back, especially if you snag a rock. Now, I do have another piece of gear here. These are popular with if you're going to go dual. This is a bar. It's meant to put 2 different magnets together.
Okay.
I've got one that has single-sided 1200s. I've got one that has 2 Titans connected.
Wow.
That's a quite the beast to get used to. And then whenever I get it, I have 2 double-sided. So I'm going to connect to this very bar.
Ah,
But
okay.
when you do this, it actually adds a lot more weight to it. So pretty much that's all that you need. And if you have it, if you run into a lot of stuff, you might want to get another bucket and get some type of wagon,
Mm.
like a collapsible wagon. That's real
Mm-hmm.
popular. I
Mm-hmm.
saw a lot of individuals that use that for moving scrap
Mm.
great distances. Like if you have to go 3 or 4 blocks, you'll
Mm-hmm.
want something that you can stick your rusty objects into the bucket or into the cart itself.
Mm-hmm. Now, is it fair to say that, or is it unwritten magnet fishing like etiquette that you are responsible for whatever you pull out of there? You can't just like throw it back or leave it on the bridge or something. You're responsible for it, are you not?
That is a very good thing because even at the event, we were running into such a thing. Pick up your trash. No matter what it is, you pull it out, you're responsible to take it.
Yeah.
I try and keep myself, but even myself, sometimes I have to leave something. But if you have to leave it, make sure if you have a scrapper that you can get out there to, go for it. Or if you're even more inclined, if you run into like rebar or something
Mm-hmm.
that's 10, 12 feet long or too big for your vehicle, get yourself a battery powered cutoff saw.
Mm.
That's what a lot of people do as well. I
Mm-hmm.
need to get one myself, but I
Mm-hmm.
never really find large objects.
Mm-hmm. Because I guess most people, yeah, I mean, you're carrying your 5-gallon bucket. Most people don't expect to find anything really, really big, but you just might find something big and you have to make arrangements to get rid of it, right?
Yes, there was numerous people at the event. You can view their content. and anyone else that is a magnet fisher, myself included, I've run into too many large objects to bring home, so I have to figure out a way to throw it into the trash.
I guess so. I just want to say that if those in the chat have any questions for Willie, just feel free to drop them into the chat. Oh, we got a new subscriber. Thank you, Lauren. Wonderful. Thank you very much for that. I do appreciate that. I gotta ask, have you ever lost a magnet and you had to like cut it off?
I've lost 4 magnets.
Oh, see, that would kill me. That would kill me.
That's the problem with when you're magnet fishing. You always have to take in the possibility that you will lose that magnet one day. If not losing it, you will damage it.
And then, like we said earlier, they can be very costly.
They can, especially those 360s. Those 360s are what a lot of people call glass cannons. The magnet is very fragile, and due to the shock of throwing it against a rock or concrete wall, or on the odd chance you throw it against the side of a bridge, it will send a shockwave through that magnet and it will cut it in half.
Really? Wow. I would not have thought that.
A 360 doesn't really have the protection that say a double-sided does. I mean, I can smack a double-sided on a concrete pillar and it probably won't damage it, but if I take my 360 and do the same thing, yeah, it'll totally break it. There were 4 or 5 people that actually broke both clamps and 360s.
Wow. Wow. Hey, got another question from the Timeless Digger. He said, what's the best thing you've ever found magnet fishing?
That's an interesting question. Around here or when I traveled to Wisconsin, because Wisconsin was boatloads of finds. But I guess I'll start locally here.
Sure.
And I have that right with me. I always do. This was actually found the final day of 2020. Out December 31st, 2020, I find this at a local pond no bigger than half a block. And obviously, the area did have oil or well action, I guess you could say. But this, a lot of people in the chat will probably recognize, this is a reed drill head. This is meant for water,
like
it's a wellhead drill bit.
Ah, okay.
It's not a tricon that's used for rock crushing. It's got 4 carbide bits in it. This is about 20 pounds. I've known the largest one I've ever seen found was actually found by 𝗵𝗘𝗕𝗦𝗬𝗓. He found like an 80-pound one, but you're talking about like a 2-foot tall bit itself.
Wow.
And what was really funny is I don't have it with me, but the next day I go to the local pond that I mentioned earlier, and I pull out a chain wrench of the same manufacturer.
Wow.
But when it comes to magnet fishing as a whole, probably my best day was the first video that I created with Iron Antler Adventures in Wisconsin. That was in the Fond du Lac area, and that bridge is notorious for any and all types of railroad related material. And there was evidence of magnet fishers there as well. It's quite popular up there. And people say that it was a fished out bridge. Nah, if you watch my 2-hour and 17-minute video, you'll know that there's far more still in that railroad bridge that was turned into a walkway than anything that I've ever found. Probably the best thing that I pulled out was both a Model A or Model T engine key. Kind of looks like
Very cool.
Yeah,
Like
I
a crank, the
recognize.
crank.
Yes, the
Oh,
crank.
cool. That's pretty cool.
Found 2 different train pins for uncoupling cars.
Uh-huh.
Those were about the strangest thing I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
I found, I believe, 2 others of the same type, but they were all bent, so I had to put that in the scrap bucket.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 days later, we went. No, it was actually a multi-day event,
Mm-hmm.
but the event was only 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
I actually went up there for personal reasons on vacation, so it
Mm-hmm.
was 5 days total. There was a old style wrench I found off of that, but when it came to great finds, everyone else was finding horseshoes, caltrops, and later on in the day we actually found cannonballs.
Wow. Well, see, that would make it worthwhile for me if you found cannonballs.
Sadly, my home state doesn't have a lot of Civil War history.
Yeah.
There's a lot of back and forth between Kansas and Missouri,
Mm-hmm.
but that is more towards the eastern part of the state on the border. I actually live in central, so it's
Mm-hmm.
about a 4-hour drive.
Mm-hmm. Now you mentioned kind of throughout the evening today. You mentioned events. Are there organized, like, because metal detecting has tons of events all over the world? Do magnet fishing people get together and go to events as well?
Yes, they do. And about a month or so back, there was actually the biggest magnet fishing event in U.S. history, I guess you could say. That was produced by 2 different people that I know
Mm-hmm.
fairly well.
Mm-hmm.
It was put on last year as well, but it was of a total different make. But this year was the Trash for Cash event 2023. We've had
Mm-hmm.
a few of these. I
Mm-hmm.
have 4 of them,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna flash a few stickers here. So the Rusty Magnets had an event for St. Jude's. We
Okay.
raised money for cancer-related object or children.
Mm-hmm.
Then also it was co-authored by Iron Antler Adventures.
Hey, Iron
And
Antler just came into the chat.
there he is. I was on his live stream yesterday.
There you
Also,
go.
I got a shout out to Bone Dead Heathens as well, his wife.
That's a cool one.
Now, the event was 2 days in Bullitt, Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
We had 250 people, I believe, and also the individual that kind of revolutionized Ben's contributions,
Mm-hmm.
𝗘𝗘𝗚𝗕𝗦𝗧𝗘. I also have his Tumblr as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We were all there for 2 days, and a few people only had 1 day to be there. Some people had all of them. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to run through the listing of people that I was around.
Mm-hmm.
We have Brockton Magnet Fisher, the man from Boston himself. One person from your neck of the woods, Joker's Magnet.
Is Joker's Magnet Canadian?
Yes, he is.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay.
Patterson Farms, metal detecting and magnet fishing. Anita from Madtown Magnet Fishing, if I'm getting that correctly. Citizens Magnet Fishing from Maine. The Bad Idea Lab.
He's in the chat.
Mm-hmm. Johnny from Johnny's Corner. Him, his wife, and his children were there.
I watch their live streams sometimes.
Wallace Family Adventures.
Wallace Family just came in the chat.
Mabel Adventures. And not last, but we have Sonic and Friends. And then also you have Ray, his friend, from the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Then one of the personal people I know all too well, Mag 1. He's the individual that lives in my home state, and we go around and find a few interesting things.
Mm-hmm.
I have an interesting story about that. First day at the event, he was stuck on the bridge. Not physically stuck, but he was there for one day. There were a series of trophies that 𝗘𝗘𝗦𝗧𝗔 produced, and he walked away with two of them. One being the strongman trophy. He pulled out no less than 9 bikes, 8 the first day, and I believe 3 the next, somewhere around there. Then he, when it was time to reveal for the, as we call it, waffle, the most expensive magnet fishing find that all of in the community was there. And what was crazy is I was actually there when he found said object. It is in both of our videos. Mine's titled the Emporia Rainbow Arch Bridge. My videos are a lot longer than his, but anyways, he finds a 10-karat gold ring off that bridge. They say that you
Really?
can't find gold or anything like that magnet fishing. Well,
Yeah.
it turns out the way that happens is we go to an old bridge that's made from it's concrete and steel reinforcement, but it was a 1927 bridge. There is a little bit of a waterfall, probably from mills, and there's nothing but rock everywhere on the other side. Water levels a little bit up. We find nothing but rusty stuff up and down that area.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually a pedestrian bridge now, right off the highway. And he is all yelling and screaming. Can't exactly find out what he's doing. I'm trying to pull up some bizarre object that I have, and he's saying he's found a gold ring. Well, it turns out that it was a 10-karat gold
Wow. Right
wedding
on.
band.
Right on.
So he managed to bring home that one too.
Right
So
on. Nice. Have you ever found a gun?
sadly, no, I haven't found any firearms. And that was another thing. Between Sunday and Tuesday, there were guns found.
Uh-huh.
In my 5 years of being a magnet fisher, I have not found one gun, and neither that is an explosive either. So
Ah.
I find a lot of knives, fishing poles,
Mm-hmm.
uh, tackle,
Mm-hmm.
stuff that are related to regular fishers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I haven't found anything truthfully dangerous other
Mm-hmm.
than the spent railroad detonator that I found off a certain bridge
Mm-hmm.
in Oshkosh.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it's a pier, but
Mm-hmm. So what's
now
I'm sorry, go ahead.
for explosive, yes, we did find an explosive, but it wasn't me. That was actually Two Brothers Treasure.
Mm.
On the first day of the event, he finds a live cannonball that has a fuse in it.
Wow.
Yeah, so it took 2 hours for the bomb squad to get out there. They had to travel from Milwaukee clear to Beloit.
Wow. Wow. That must have made for a great video, gotta say.
Oh, there were multiple people that videoed that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as long as everyone is careful when anything like
Yes.
explosive or incendiary or anything like that is found, just
Put it in a bucket of water and leave it be. Then
call.
the
That is
authorities.
definitely when you call the police called. Yeah, that is the case where you definitely need to call the police.
Yeah, strangely enough, there wasn't any guns found at the park.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else was found, but not that. It's a lot of Civil War history on that very
Mm-hmm.
river.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Wonderful. Any other questions in the audience in the chat? Pop them into the chat. I have a question. Let's say my two ways. Let's say first of all that my magnet becomes snagged in something like in the water. So I threw it in and it becomes snagged. What is the best way? Like, am I just going to say like, see it to the magnet, or is there something I can do?
Well, there are two different ways if you're going from, say, a bridge or the shore, you need to pull it the opposite direction, because if you're snagged on a rock, most likely that if you pull it either perpendicular, or if you can get on the other side of whatever snagged, you can pull that free. Now, there is another way. Another tool that is in the magnet fishing arsenal is a come along, either a cable one or a cloth belt one. Most people only use either a half-ton to 2-ton come along. I actually kind of went a little higher, and I went with a 6-ton one. Not exactly
Why
smart.
not?
Yeah, not exactly smart though. It tends to get snagged on a few things, and it takes too much to get it set up. So I need to figure out how to downsize that one. But that is a same thing goes for if your claw gets snagged. But if it is unavailable to get it, do not go swimming for it, because you may lose your life.
Yeah,
Best thing to do is, if you have a kayak and if you can get to it, maybe you can unsnag it. Or if it's too much of a problem, cut the rope. Most people say don't cut the rope, but
oh my gosh, that's my worst nightmare. That is my magnet fishing nightmare, is cutting the rope.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. If you ever watch any diving videos, there's a lot of people that find the magnet stuck up underneath stuff.
There you go. Now, second scenario, I'm on a bridge. There's metal in the bridge, and my magnet becomes stuck on the bridge. Now what?
Well, if it is stuck on the railing and you can reach it within arm's reach, you're going to need to pry it off. The best thing to do is probably have your common tire bead breaker with you, and then lube it through the eyelet and then pull it. Or if it's like stuck underneath the bridge, that's happened multiple times for me. I have to I've done a few things. I've looped that large single-sided onto the same rope and then pulled it taut and then threw it over the edge of the bridge. If you have a heavy enough object, it'll pull that magnet off.
Okay. Yeah.
Or if you're not able to do that, and if it's a 360 magnet or a large size single-sided and stuck to a flat piece of metal, use a come along. But just make sure you have enough rope, and make sure that if it goes flying or snaps the rope, make sure you're away from that, or otherwise you're going to get some nasty rope burn.
Yeah, see, you don't think about stuff like that, but magnet fishing could go terribly wrong.
Yeah, there is an art to this, and it can be dangerous.
Sounds
Most of the time,
like it.
it's sliced fingers or broken fingers.
Yeah, so you definitely have to keep your wits about you. It's like, I mean, it's not a joke. It's got to be taken serious. You got to take it seriously, because stuff happens. Stuff can happen. Well, Willie, my goodness. Unless there are any other questions, I'm going to open it up for more questions, because, questions, I can't think of all the questions to ask. So I would really appreciate if anyone in the chat right now has a question, if they would just pop it into the chat. Do you do any other kind of treasure hunting, or are you just a magnet fisher person?
Mainly, I'm a magnet fisher. I've tried understanding the, shall we say, feel of metal detecting, but at the event, I was totally lost when it came to metal detecting. Now, I do know a personal individual who lives in my home state that is a good friend. I actually met James and Risha through him during his event. He's also got events as well, so I do know a few ins and outs of how the metal detecting world works, like what Tripwire and Mar from Mar Family videos, if I'm
Yes.
pronouncing
Yes.
his
Mm-hmm.
name correctly. I know how the events go, and then on top of that, the real high stakes uh, event goes. I forget the name, but uh, something like you had to pay like $300 to get in or so. But my metal detector skills are pretty nil. I did it when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
found a lot of rust and stuff,
Yeah.
but I tried to take it on for YouTube purposes, but
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of hard to keep a digger, a spade, a backpack full of all that stuff, the
Mm-hmm.
camera going,
Yes.
and it takes me about 20 minutes to dig a hole. So it's like, yeah, I'm not really getting on this.
Uh-huh.
Now, I do know several metal detectorists, and they do excellent work for what they find. 𝗵𝗔𝗚𝗚𝗓 is a individual that I actually met before going to the Beloit event. I
Mm-hmm.
actually went to Ed's little meet and greet known as Flash in Your Pants first.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Flash Bash. I
Yes.
actually went to Flash Bash
Oh, right on.
when the Treasure Vixens were still part of
Ah.
the inner circle,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
and I did that last year as well. Sadly, I actually got sick both times. Must have been stress or something, but yeah, I didn't make it through that event, but I
Mm-hmm.
made it through the magnet fishing event. That was
Mm-hmm.
five
Mm-hmm.
5 days total. But yeah, I know the gold prospecting community. I know the metal detecting community,
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
few of the diving community, and a lot of magnet fishers as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of in a niche
Mm-hmm.
that I get around.
Would you say magnet fishing is exploding in popularity? Would you say that?
Very.
Ah, okay.
Let's just bring up a few high name channels: Outdoors Weekly, Bondi Treasure Hunter, and The Fisher, to name a few.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few others as well, but they're above my kind of range, I guess you could say. I barely have like 600 people. So,
Well, I'm hoping that perhaps after tonight, you will check out the Tinman magnet fishing, watch some videos, because you got to watch a couple of videos and you got to leave some comments, because then otherwise, if you subscribe, YouTube's just going to kick you out without watching a video or leaving a comment.
like,
So,
subscribe, and content.
so if I would really, really suggest that you, maybe not now, maybe tomorrow, but in the near future, check out Tinman magnet fishing, watch a couple videos. And like he said, it's the hobby is exploding, and
Yes,
pretty
it
cool.
is.
Pretty cool.
I've got some good content too.
That's always important.
Yeah, if you also want to check out Mad Mag 1, he's got a lot of good content as well, family oriented and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of a single individual, but I'm getting out. So
That's all right. Well, Willie, I want to thank you so very much for joining us today. I know that it's embarrassing to say, but I bought a magnet, my goodness, before COVID started, and that magnet is still in. It's a tiny one though, but it's still in the box. I've been petrified of taking it out and losing it. And I think that after today, I think I might just take it out and throw it in the water.
yeah, you will be surprised what you can find. You never know. That first time out is kind of terrifying, or in my case, it was exciting beyond belief. I literally had uh, adrenaline going, and I couldn't stop going. And I'm unwound from that kind of thing. But every once in a while, I'll get that interesting feeling again. Kind of
Mm-hmm.
like when you first pick up your metal detector and then you find your first weedy or something, and it's
Yeah.
like, whoa, what is this?
Yeah.
Yeah. And as they say, the magnet fishing rabbit hole tends to follow the YouTube rabbit hole. And once you get into it, then you get sucked into the whole thing, and then it's as you go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like I said, thank you. Thank you. Really, really appreciative. And like I said, you're the first magnet fisher person to be on the stream. And I hope that other people out there, if you have a magnet fishing channel, that you'll send me an email, and maybe we'll get you on the show as well.
Definitely.
Right on, right on. Good stuff. Thank you very much, Willie. Have a great rest of your day. And like I said, thank you so very much for joining. Right on. Take care. All right. My goodness. Wow. Gotta say, I learned a ton. I learned a ton of stuff. Thank you, Willie. We learned about the different kinds of magnets, different situations, how to retrieve a stuck magnet. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful information tonight. And I really, really appreciate that. If you're watching this and you also appreciate that, if you got something, if you got even a little nugget from the show, maybe you thought it was entertaining. My goodness, who's not entertaining? Come on. Please consider subscribing. I would really, really appreciate it. And if you know somebody who's thinking about getting into magnet fishing, share the link to this stream, because Willie dropped a ton of information. And if you're thinking about it, watch the stream, rewatch the stream, and learn, because that's what this is all about. I want to thank you all so very much for joining me today. I really, really appreciate you taking time out of your very busy days to join me. Next week, my guest is going to be the digologist and the dime detective. You're going to want to watch that. I hear there are a ton of treasure hunting stories between those two. So right on, right on. I am going to say thank you. I'm going to say goodnight, and I really appreciate each and every one of you. Join me again next Thursday. Until then, remember to keep it real, and I'll catch you on the next adventure. Got a long form video tomorrow. Like I said, it's been a while. Watch it tomorrow. Thank you.